All right, real quick, who knows what LTR stands for? Okay, that'll inform half of my talk. So what I want to start off with is, my name is Scott Stults. I'm a search consultant. I've probably spent a quarter of my career explaining why my job's necessary and why the machine just doesn't already know how to optimize itself, how to optimize user queries. And that's, why does it take an expert to go in and tweak boost values on individual individual fields and things like that? And then we can move forward a little ways in time. AI starts to get a little bit of traction about 10 years ago, and people are using machine learning techniques to grade things and get better results. But still, I still have a job. That's great. There's a thing called learning to rank, and I'll be brief about it. It uses machine learning techniques to essentially figure out, given a set of search results, the best way to order them. The best being a learned ordering based off of some other metrics. So great. We have a plugin for a search engine now that can actually, based off of our query, we can get our search results. We decide how to, is this the best search result? Well, I don't know. Let's consult our rubric. Well, honestly, with a document that was published last year isn't as relevant as this one this year. So we'll boost that one up. We learned that through our other learning to rank scores. So jump forward, we can do that now. We have a plugin. There's a plugin for every search engine: Solr, Elasticsearch, and OpenSearch. Great, our job's done, right? Well, you still need to go in and figure out what these features are. Query length is a feature. If someone spends a lot of time crafting out a very careful query, what does that tell you about the kinds of documents that we want to return? Maybe if it's a short query, maybe that should be, we should boost up our category pages, so they can find what they're looking for very fast. Great. We learned all that with LTR. And then, 2 years ago, LLMs started gaining more traction. It's my mother knows what an LLM is now. So why don't we ask ChatGPT what the right sort order is for our search results? And we still run into the same problem. We still let me first state what some of the problems were with LTR, which is it's very computationally expensive. So your search query, go to Google, do a search for anything, you'll get at least 1 billion hits, right? We don't want to sort all of that. So we figure, let's draw a line. Let's cut a line at 1,000. Let's sort that. Great, but what if the best, according to my LTR model, what if the best document there isn't in that top 1,000? Oh, then you're never going to see it. So still getting that initial swipe at search relevancy matters. You need to figure out a little bit what your user really means when they're searching for stuff. We just can't throw it at LTR to figure out. So you still need to hire me and pay me to figure out what your search engine does. So we figure out what goes in the top 1,000 results. We get LTR to figure out, all right, let's hone this down even more. Let's find the perfect one to put in the top spot. That matters a lot to e-commerce places where users have the patience of a sparrow and they want to see the absolute top result right now. I'm going to click it. Even if I don't want it, I'm going to click the top result. So LLMs, we're doing retrieve augmented generation, right? So one thing that we can do is, given my, we saw this morning, given my employee handbook, give me the top pages for paid leave. All right, here's your 100 pages. Now sort them according to what my LTR method tells is most relevant. Okay, you see, like I said, maybe I got in there earlier and said, oh, you know what's more important, and adjusted the boost factor. So we have some relevance here. Now, given this big block of, let's say, 100 results, let's have the LLM answer the user's question. Can I take time off next week? I don't know. Throw it over the fence to LLM, and all 100 documents to the LLM, and have it, tokenize everything, get everything embedded, sent over to OpenAI or Athena or whatever it is, have it summarize these documents and figure out the answer, and then spit it out into nice text saying, no, you got to work next week. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time working with models in sort of a production arena, but after a while, the tokens start counting. The tokens start affecting your pocketbook. So you really can't throw that much, those many tokens over the fence and have it figure that out. The other thing is that there's this thing called the needle in the haystack problem. If you throw so much information at it, it's got to still figure out the most important things. It has to read the whole thing. It might actually see a very irrelevant document up here, and then it kind of forgets about it because it's got to go through all this stuff you threw at it, and it just kind of forgets. Oh, well, you know what? This is kind of relevant, and essentially something that's not as important. So my argument is, I guess it's kind of a talk, kind of an argument, maybe a diatribe, but the whole point is that I still need to have a job. You still need to hire me to get that first swath of weights figured out, how to translate user queries into a sensible search result. LTR still also has a place because we still want to give the LLM, let's say, the top 5 documents. We want to make sure that we get a much smaller context for the LLM to reason about, something that has a high probability to have your answer in it or something interesting to the user. And then, yes, LLMs can take those top 5 results and make some sense out of it. And that's my talk. Questions? Stavros?
Right away. So LTR is usually a re-rank. Why aren't you doing learning to boost? So pre-query.
You still need judgments. You still need to train it, do all that stuff. Sure. I have no argument against that.
So aren't you doing it?
I'm at a conference right now. Do you want me to go and make a plugin right now for learning to boost?
Sure.
Okay.
No, but seriously, I mean, there are some people who talk about learning to boost, but a lot of people talk about LTR.
Yeah.
Is it that much harder to do a useful learning to boost? Why aren't we seeing that as ubiquitous?
I don't know. There was a talk at Haystack 2 years ago about learning to boost, and I've seen only two other companies actually do it.
That was the Shopify talk, right?
Yeah. I don't know why. My answer is no one's paid me to do it. That's why.
I feel like you need magic Bayesian.
Right. So
Right. And
is that a question?
Wasn't a thing 4 years ago, and only showed up 2 years ago, and hasn't percolated out.
Right.
And probably people are doing learning to boost, but just in their data science notebooks.
So what Eric is alluding to is hierarchical Bayesian models, where you can actually change lots of variables and sort of rerun your test to see how much that incrementally improves
That's just a small matter of implementation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for what it's worth, at Wikimedia we do learning to boost. That's what powers the autocomplete search on Wikidata. It's how we tune it for a whole bunch of different languages without making autocomplete crazy expensive like learning to rank is.
That's.
I'd love to see it.
Oh, by the way,
The question was, is it open source? The answer was yes. And say, okay, well, let's see if we can fold it in.
I know why. It's written in PHP, and OpenSearch doesn't run PHP, but as soon as OpenSearch gets Python in, I'm sure they'll support PHP.
By the way, Eric also was part of the first LTR plugin development effort for Elasticsearch.
So he knows what he's talking about.
He does. You had a question?
Yeah, sorry, apologies if maybe it's a naive question just because quite recent into the project. But you mentioned before there that there was that issue with, yes, in a search it'll find something that's very relevant, but it has to go through everything, and then it might at some point along the way forget about this relevant result.
The needle in the haystack problem.
Yeah, it kind of with LLMs that would be kind of like the max context length window issue where it will have to read through a lot of text and eventually it'll just forget the stuff that it initially read. My question was, would it be possible to, or is it possible, or is it already done, to put a pin in that earlier result that was useful, that was maybe very relevant, and then as it goes through everything, and then it takes this X amount of relevant content, re-ranks them again, and then gives you that final kind of output of, okay, I went through relevant, semi-relevant, re-ranked then the relevant, semi-relevant, and here are the top 5 or top 3 results.
That would be an LLM re-ranker that goes through and looks at them. Yeah, so there's 2 things that you should probably distinguish. They're related, but context length is, I think, a somewhat separate issue than the needle in the haystack problem, which is only exacerbated by longer context lengths. Like, we didn't really hear too much about the needle in the haystack problem with really small context lengths, but now as research is developing these unlimited lengths or very large lengths and measured in megabytes and whatnot, that's why that's starting to become a much more important problem to address. But I think this year someone asked at another conference, could you use an LLM as the re-ranker ahead of time? And I guess my answer is yes, but that's also expensive. You're still shoving all those tokens out over having an LLM do the re-ranking. I have 3 minutes left, so I want to put a plug out for, I am hosting a Birds of a Feather meetup, so anyone who's interested in talking about learning to rank or getting into learning to rank or bitching about learning to rank, tomorrow at lunch we're going to take over a couple of tables and get together. So I hope to see you there. Thanks.